Port Ellen. I watch the skyline for the port, and the first sign of land is two seagulls hovering noisily overhead. Soon the little white crofts and fishermen's houses of Hyla hove into view, and then I see the harbour. The island of Islay is the gem of the whisky world, a little slice of heaven. Nowhere are there more distilleries concentrated in such a small area, all of them turning out the distinctively peaty malts for which the island has rightly become known throughout the world. After a night's rest, my destination this morning is the distillery on the north peak of the island, where the raucously peaty McClelland's Islay malt is said to be produced. But first I go past the famous Bowmore distillery, its imposing white walls hoving into view as I follow the sea line around on my journey north. When I arrive at the distillery, the first thing I see is the gushing spring water that is one of the key components in the art of whisky making. My first port of call is the maltings, where I check that all of the grain, spread out across the floor as it has been for generations, is drying out nicely. Then it's on to the main distillery itself, where I peer into the washbacks and breathe in the sweet aroma of whisky in its youth. Then I inspect the rows of copper stills that turn the mix of grain, malt and peaty water into the water of life. The liquid is still clear at this stage and will take years in an old bourbon cask to develop its dark hue. Time is not only the great healer, in this case it's the great provider. Now that I've confirmed to myself that the future of the single malt of Kings is in good hands, I have some time to kill before the ferry back to the mainland, so I wander down to the seashore. It's beautiful here, but I've heard a disturbing story about a distillery manager who was so depressed that his whisky couldn't hold a candle to the McClelland's that he simply walked into the sea and vanished. They say that Reginald McPerrin is still out there somewhere and that we haven't heard the last of him, but I'm not so sure. I left Islay with huge sadness, but sailing back to the mainland with the setting sun at my back, the paps of Jura to my north, and Gear to the south, it was a day in a million with glassy, calm seas and a sunset that took my breath away.